I'm Gorilla Monsoon.
And I'm thankful that I'm not.
Oh, you just can't help yourself, can you, huh?
I don't help anyone. Unless they've got the cash.
Yeah, I'm going to help you out the door if you don't stop.
If you can fit
anyway,
through
folks,
it.
I'm going to knock you out.
Excuse me, but, is anyone going to introduce me, bro?
All right. And this is Vince Russo.
I thought it was the mailman.
Huh. Why don't you be serious?
Smells like one.
Well, what the frig, bro?
All right, enough. Folks, coming up in just a short is a podcast hosted by two guys you've never heard of and probably never will.
Monsoon knows a guy who knows a guy, if you know what I'm saying.
I get it.
Oh, will you stop? Folks, Chris and George or something, they do the Hot Tag podcast, and here it is.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Hot Tag Wrestling Show. I'm Chris DiFrancesco. George Rogers is here with us as well, as always, of course. He wasn't on time, but he's here. George, what's going on, man? How are you?
How dare you besmirch me? But yeah, you're
right. How dare you call me out? But damn it, you were right all along, pal.
How dare you be accurate of my tardiness?
We were literally just talking about being an adult, and here he is, just arriving late in a limo with his hoodie over his head, being this surprise guest.
Yep. Wearing beats over my ears, and God knows what I'm listening to. Probably reruns of this.
Right?
The episodes that I wasn't on.
Right now. So, because I worked Monday night, so I wasn't able to catch Monday Night Raw. I will be checking it out probably tomorrow. However, that doesn't help tonight's show. But before we get into our topic, which is a Survivor Series from 2007, which was actually a pretty decent show, I might add. But we'll get into that. I'm gonna do it. I'm going to go against my better judgment. I'm gonna talk about it. The elephant in the room, it just continues to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And we're going to talk about CM Punk. And let me just start off real quick by saying I'm not a fan of the guy at all. At all. When he was in that run in 2011, I was a fan of him for the sense that, again, this is hindsight being 2020. George, you might be able to attest to this. I know our buddy Dean could as well. We were at a point where we were kind of just tired of John Cena, to where anybody that would come around and be fun to watch, you'd almost back him in a way. And how they handled, the whole Money in the Bank situation, the contract negotiations, I thought that was really cool stuff. I thought that was one of the last really great things that Vince did on screen. And that's how he was handling everything with CM Punk. And then, even before that, that you had the infamous pipe bomb promo, which of course was approved and written some by Vince McMahon himself. So after all these years, I want people to stop giving CM Punk the credit for coming up with this masterful promo, because it was all approved and edited by Vince McMahon. But I want to talk about it because, as of tonight, which is Tuesday, CM Punk has been trolling, I guess you could say the wrestling world on his Instagram page. And he's posting things that from his WWE time, some promo that he did regarding a Hell in a Cell match, I guess. And then some other thing. I have no idea what he was talking about, but notwithstanding, he's fueling the fire, George. And I kind of want to get your take. What is your take on CM Punk himself? Your thoughts on him, and where do you think this is going to end up?
Listen, I have no ill will towards CM Punk. I like the guy. I thought he was entertaining. He was charismatic. He was the anti John Cena at a time where I was done with the dude, like completely.
Yeah.
The whole white rapper thing, I wasn't really too big on to begin with, but the guy could go in the ring, and I kind of respected that for the most point. But the gimmick, it got stale, and it was just like, all right, you're not going to do anything. So now I'm just kind of tired of seeing the guy. Even Orton changed up a bit over the years, but seeing that they wouldn't budge. But then here comes this guy, and I saw some things, from like the indie circuit from when he was in ROH and stuff like that. So it's like, all right, here's someone a little different who doesn't look the mold of what Vince would have pegged as his top guy, which always came out in promos about how, Punk would always say, you never saw me as a top guy, this, that, and the other. So when he walked away from wrestling, it was kind of a big thing because he was, I don't want to say he was at the top of his game, but he was a headliner. He was a main event attraction who just walked away, which is kind of unheard of for this day and age. Kurt Angle, not really, even top of his game. He was on the third brand, so people kind of forgot he was even on ECW for a minute. So when he came back to AEW, it was a massive event where people were tuning in. That was the only time Rampage got over 1 million. That was the only time Rampage got over 500,000 views at this stage of the game. But there's obviously been some turmoil between him and AEW, like whichever side of the aisle you want to believe. Either way, they appear to be split. Like Punk has gone from the company, this, that, and the other. But then, there's little things that have been kind of popping up. He gets not named, but like there's references to him that keep popping up on Raw or SmackDown. And Shinsuke is calling somebody out for an open challenge at Survivor Series, and nobody knows who it is. Everyone thinks it's CM Punk. I don't think it's CM Punk. No. I think it's going to be Sheamus because Sheamus has been gone for quite a while. I think it's going to be him, and when
that'll be lackluster.
Yeah, and when Sheamus, I like Sheamus, and you like Sheamus.
No, but that's the thing. It's gonna get booed.
Yeah, it's gonna I hope. It's Sheamus. He'll relish in the booze, and he doesn't give a shit one way or the other. He'll make it work. But there's that, and then Punk. He's just like anybody else. He's gonna troll with the best of them.
Yeah.
He puts up stuff on his Instagram story where, it's the promo from. What was it? Survivor Series or no, it was Hell in a Cell where he was where he was the devil.
Yeah.
So that fuels the speculation that he's under the devil mask in AEW. But at the same time, you look at it, well, it's a WWE promo. So maybe he's making the hit there.
Right.
But then there's the other one he put up where it was like his workout of the day. And it showed he burned 666 calories, which obviously it's a reference to the devil. So is he under the devil mask? But at the same time, the song that he puts up on his page is War Pigs, which is the War Games theme song.
Yep.
So it's like this dude, he's trolling for the sake of trolling at this point. Nobody knows where he's going to go. Chances are he may not go anywhere at all.
Right.
If he shows up in AEW, what? Good for them. They need something at this point because they are treading water in the worst possible way to the fact that the parent company wants to move them to the streaming service and bring WWE to their televised audience.
Which would be so amazing.
Which would be hey, did you guys still win the Wednesday Night Wars? Asking for a friend. Because you guys lost the television war, if that's the case. But it's all speculation, and and just as anything is with wrestling, it's built up in the fans' heads. We are going to, not we as in UMA, but collectively the IWC is going to build this up to be much bigger than it actually is. And if you want my honest opinion on everything, Sheamus is going to be the one to answer Shinsuke's challenge. He'll get booed. The guy under the devil mask in AEW, I think, is going to be Jack Perry. Jungle Boy Jack Perry, which is also going to be lackluster.
Everything they do is lackluster. But you look at it this way: if Punk comes back in any scenario at Survivor Series, you're probably looking at this being a last second thing. And the only thing I could have thought of, I could think of before we hit the record, I was walking down here preparing this, I thought, man, when was the last time something happened like last second that no one thought was going to happen? And something could have happened earlier than this. I just can't recall. The last thing I could think of, and the first thing that jumped to my mind, was the 2016 Royal Rumble when AJ Styles walked out. Yeah. That literally caught everybody by surprise. I mean, literally everybody. Do you see something like that happening? And in what scenario does it happen? Like, do you bring back, I mean, obviously, sorry to burst everyone's bubble. If you bring back CM Punk, no matter what, he's not in the world title picture. He's just not. Again, I'm going to say it for everyone in the world to hear, and this is going to be recorded so you can always hear it. One guy is beating Roman Reigns. One dude, and his name's Cody Rhodes. That's it. It's not going to be LA Knight. It's not going to be anybody else. It's going. I mean,
you could put him in the. I mean, you could put him in against Seth for the World Heavyweight title.
Maybe,
but
he still won't get his WrestleMania main event.
That's neither here nor there. Yeah, no, he'll get Night One's main event.
That's true. Yeah.
But the one thing that we're kind of overlooking in this whole scenario is the fact that Vince isn't in charge anymore.
Right.
The guy pulling the strings is Ari Emanuel, the guy who owns Endeavor or TKO, whatever you want to call it. He's the guy who's making all these decisions. So if he wants CM Punk in, he'll throw him the money that he's looking for or something to really like whet his appetite to bring him in. As you said, as you told me backstage, Punk has burned a lot of bridges over the years. So maybe there's some people that don't want to work with him, but Triple H is also known for giving second chances. He will work with anybody again if it's best for business. I didn't even want to say that, but it's the God's honest truth.
I understand.
It's the truth, though. So it's whether or not like Punk wants to work with the children in AEW because that's what they are. I mean, even in that whole thing, I'm lean towards the side of Punk on that because they did take unnecessary shots at him, unscripted, like on live TV, and he's like what the hell is even happening right here? So yeah, if you're gonna do stuff like that and you're gonna go after that guy, like don't get in a promo battle with him because he's gonna cut deep. It's like trying to go against Heyman; it ain't gonna work for you. You're gonna fail at every turn. But
yeah.
Hey, I'll put it to you this way. Wrestling's popular again. Like it's there's some news there somewhere. I mean, we're not approaching Monday Night Wars, but it's a good time.
Well, I mean, you gotta have competition to have Monday Night Wars or any war, right?
Well, NWA didn't get their TV deal, so
that's right. The NXT came in, the developmental brand came in.
We're waiting for TNA to get a network deal on a channel that is available on all cable platforms, not just one fly-by-night one.
Yeah. So my prediction for CM Punk is there is no prediction. I don't think he shows up anywhere. I think this is just him attacking the popularity, the attention right now, and that's good on him for doing that. It makes him desirable. I don't see it. I just don't see it happening. I don't see it happening at Survivor Series. But hey, look, there's going to be casuals that are going to think this is something that's going to happen at Survivor Series, and they're going to get on Peacock and they're going to get the pay-per-view. So it's helping. And what
I mean, they sold
seats
for Survivor Series on the speculation that he might show up.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think WWE might be falling into one of the, unfortunately, and this is a bad thing. I hate when businesses do this. Do you think they're going to fall into a bait and switch situation because they've made so many CM Punk references over the last few weeks? You've had what? Shinsuke's done the GTS. Grayson Waller has made comments. Corey Graves has quoted CM Punk's promos before. Do you look at this? If he doesn't show up, Is this a bait and switch by the WWE, and should they be called out for that?
Is it a bait and switch, or is it Triple H doing what he does best, and that's trolling the audience?
But that's not good for business.
It's not, but they're not. What business are they going to lose? The casuals aren't going to go away because they're not going to bring in CM Punk. Like, are you going to stop watching because they don't want to see it? Because they're not bringing in somebody that they haven't had for over 10 years.
That's a good point.
I mean, the people that watch the show or that watch WWE, like, we know what to expect at this point. I mean,
that's a good point.
If we don't get CM Punk, are we going to be angry and stop watching? Like, no, not even a little bit.
I'm not even going to bat an eye.
The people who aren't the people who are going to bitch say isn't showing up are the people who still flip flop in between AEW and WB, and they're looking for a reason to pick one over the other, and this would be it. So if Punk shows up, boom, they're not watching AEW anymore. They're going to focus on what Punk is doing on WWE. If Punk doesn't show up, then it's going to be screw you. How dare you lie to me, even though you were never promised anything to begin with. It's kind of like when we all thought Daniel Bryan was going to be number 30 in the Royal Rumble in 2015, and it was Rey Mysterio, and Rey Mysterio got booed out of the building. It was never said that Daniel Bryan was going to be in the. It was never said that Daniel Bryan was going to be, or no, it was 2014 because it was never said he was going to be in the Rumble match. We all just assumed, and then we got angry.
Sure. Yeah. Of course,
nobody assumes more than wrestling fans. We always think the greatest thing in the world is going to happen. And when it doesn't happen, oh, how dare they lie to me? Nobody lied to you. You built it up in your head.
Yeah, it's all assuming. You assume it all. So, all right. Well, that's it on CM Punk. We'll get moving to the next thing that is probably going to happen. And that is the return of the Viper.
The Dodge Viper?
Yes, the Dodge Viper is returning at the Survivor Series. It's gonna come out and it's gonna roll right through the double ring.
Not the Dodge Viper.
So we already got the first step of completing this 5-on-5 on Raw, where what everyone assumed was going to happen for a while. Drew McIntyre joined the Judgment Day's team for the Survivor Series. I think it's a great idea that Drew McIntyre joins Judgment Day because I think it's a great fit for him. I think it's something that his character desperately needed. I thought Drew McIntyre desperately needed a change. And this is a good idea, a great idea, I feel. I think Judgment Day needed it too. I felt Judgment Day was getting really stale. I also believe the days of Damian Priest being in Judgment Day are not long for this world. I think Damian Priest is skyrocketing himself into the main event scene, which we're going to be seeing, I'm sure, soon. That could be your WrestleMania World Heavyweight title match between Priest and Rollins. I can definitely see that happening. Just from things that you read online, because everything we read online is accurate. Damian Priest has a lot of big time fans in the upper parts of creative, including Triple H. But he deserves it. Damian Priest is spectacular. He's really good at almost anything that he does. So good on him. But we'll probably find out. Maybe Friday, if not on Raw, who the fifth member of team, I guess, Cody Rhodes is going to be. And it's already been heavily rumored. I'm sure it's going to be Randy Orton, the returning Randy Orton, who's been gone for such a long time. Look, if I was like 14, 15, I'd be like, who cares that he had a neck injury? Like, I don't really care, or a back injury. I'm just happy he's back because it's probably a work, brother. But now as we're older and we know the severity of what Randy Orton is coming back from, many, many doctors and specialists have said that he should never take a bump, never wrestle again. It's how pretty bad that injury was. And this is a guy that has nothing left to prove. But obviously, he loves what he does. we all love Randy Orton. I think he's someone that should be looked at as a top 5 to 6 all-timer. What are your thoughts, George, before we get to the Survivor Series 2007? What are your thoughts on the return of Randy Orton?
Listen, Randy's got a bunch of doctors telling him, hey, you can't take bumps. You shouldn't do this. You should retire early. Here's a good thing, though. Randy can't hear him because he's too busy listening to the voices inside his head.
That's correct.
So
Good
he's got no time for doctors. But I'll tell you,
Mhm.
Randy Orton shows up, it's gonna be massive. It'll be a massive pop. Randy Orton's got a
Yeah.
massive following.
Yeah.
The two of us are big Randy Orton fans. I know Dean's
Absolutely.
a massive Randy Orton fan.
Yep.
This be big. It'd be just the push he needs. Not just push he needs, but it'd be the push that Survivor Series need. That this match could need. You get a real big time name in there like Randy Orton, and God knows what he's gonna do because put him inside War Games. Randy Orton's got a hell of a Survivor Series record too, so he's the guy I want on my team. I feel like every time he's been involved in a Survivor Series match, he usually comes out on top. Notwithstanding when Sting showed up, that was something different. But yeah, I am 100% looking forward to Randy Orton's return. And I will tell you exactly what I would do right at the end of that pay-per-view, because chances are Cody's team's going to win. This is what I would do. As they're celebrating in the ring, Randy gives Seth an RKO and turns heel, and then just picks up the title, looks at it, and walks away.
I think that's perfect. Yeah.
Speaking of Damian Priest, I was talking to my buddy Matt at work, or somebody.
Shout out to Matt.
Right. Shout to Matt. He knows who he is.
I hope so.
Yeah, I hope so. I said, here's what I would do. At WrestleMania, have Cody beat Roman, and then while Cody is celebrating with the title, have Priest cash into Money in the Bank and win the title before Cody can even get a chance to wear it.
Mm-hmm.
And then have Triple H come out, grab a microphone, look at Cody, and say, that title change was all elite, and then have him drop it and walk away. Triple H holds a grudge. That's for destroying the throne.
I think he got Cody back for destroying the throne with from last year's Mania. That's funny. So let's get into it. Here we go. 2007 Survivor Series. This was a really good show, man. This is the 21st Survivor Series. It's a show that took place, by the way, to let everybody know this. It's pretty, monumental. It's the WWE's last full year before becoming a PG company. In early 2008, that PG rating showed up for the WWE. It meant that they had to tone down on many things that, made them insanely huge during the Attitude Era and during the majority of the Ruthless Aggression era. Do you remember this at all, George, how we were basically at the end of the, PG-13 era here at WWE?
We were at the end and we didn't even know it.
Yes.
But speaking of things we were at the end of and we didn't know it, this was going to be the last major pay-per-view that was filmed in standard definition.
Wow, that I didn't know either.
They would go high def at the Royal Rumble a couple months later. I said major pay-per-view because I forgot what the December pay-per-view was. Probably Armageddon. Who gives a shit?
How dare you? We're going to be covering a lot of Armageddons coming up. Don't you dare disrespect that.
Yeah, where is it now, Chris?
That's a good point. Unfortunately, it's not there.
It's been replaced by a new In Your House.
Great. This pay-per-view took place almost to the day, November 18th, 2007, inside the American Airlines Arena in Miami, Florida. The big story, basically, like this entire calendar year in 2007 was, unfortunately, we're not going to get into it, but it was the double murder suicide from Chris Benoit that had happened in June of that year. He was still an active wrestler at the time. So this was just mega news, a massive, categorically catastrophic black eye on the professional wrestling business. This was just awful. 3 years prior to this dude main evented WrestleMania 20 inside Madison Square Garden and became the world heavyweight champion. So it was just not a good year for the WWE, to say the least. There were 3 brands going strong around this time. I mean, I wouldn't even say strong. Raw and SmackDown as usual. And there was a third brand that was ECW, which no matter since its inception in the 90s to this part here, it sucked. So it was also, I know George and Dean don't like that, but I think ECW.
That's why I got the brick background representing ECW.
I think it was mud show garbage from the beginning, but that's just me. I know there's an audience for everything. God, people watch AEW. So at this time, unlike today, Raw was the undisputed A show. SmackDown was definitely second in terms of importance. But WWE made it a point to include major title matches from all 3 brands, with SmackDown's world title match getting the main event slot for the second year in a row here. But going back to 2007, George, what were your thoughts on Raw and SmackDown? Like, it was amazingly clear that Raw was, no doubt, the focus of Vince McMahon and the WWE, and SmackDown was at secondary, which was crazy because at this time, SmackDown had John Cena, right? SmackDown had The Undertaker. No, was Cena on Raw here? I'm sorry, he was on Raw at this time.
You forget because at this point, Cena was injured because he got like that injury where he Superman came back.
That's right. You're right. Okay. So at this time, Batista was SmackDown. Undertaker, SmackDown. Like, they had some really good performers on the SmackDown brand, but man, it seemed like WWE really only cared about what was happening on Monday Night Raw. What were your thoughts on 2007 Raw and SmackDown in terms of quality? What were you thinking as a fan in that time?
I mean, it seemed to me that Raw was the superior show. Now, I liked more of the people on SmackDown: Taker, Batista, Rey Mysterio, Edge. But it was clear Raw was the main driving focus, with the fact that it was. I mean, hell, I think we had Cena and Orton almost every pay-per-view for what seemed like forever.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, Cena was the face of Raw. I mean, Triple H was on Raw. Shawn Michaels was on Raw. So that was the clear focus. I mean, when DX reformed, they reformed on Raw. They didn't reform on SmackDown.
No.
So Vince himself was showing. I mean, was that right? Yeah, he was on Raw because the whole illegitimate son nonsense, that was Raw.
Yeah.
So it was clear that's where the focus was.
And I was clearly, and I obviously can remember this vividly, whatever show Shawn Michaels was on was the only thing I really cared about. And obviously in 2007, he had a really good rivalry here with Randy Orton, which we'll get into. 07, he had just a really good year in 07 because Triple H was hurt for a while. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed 07 here, because then 08 just really picked up from Michaels. You saw the rivalry with Jericho. He had a little bit of a rivalry with Dave Batista, Ric Flair. So it was, at this time, I mean, it was just Shawn Michaels was like just peak.
That was
like
earlier,
just GOAT.
And it was earlier this year he had that WrestleMania match against John Cena.
Oh yeah, he main evented. Yeah, he main evented.
And then he had that 1 hour Broadway in England, which still to this day stands as my favorite Shawn Michaels match of all time.
It's definitely in my top 5 non-WrestleMania.
It's so good. Now imagine if Cena was as good as he is now, back in 2007.
I know.
10 stars.
I know, it's crazy. Well, absolutely.
-5. It wasn't the Tokyo Dome.
That's correct. Or the Q2 or the O2 arena. So yeah, I think the only other match from a Raw standpoint that I would match up or put on that tier with that John Cena one is his match in 05 against Shelton Benjamin.
Where he decapitated a man?
Where he literally decapitated a dude. But, to see Michaels go toe-to-toe with a super athlete like Shelton in his prime at that time was just chef's kiss. I mean, everybody want to know how great when people say that the second run of Shawn Michaels was significantly better than his first. Just go watch like those two matches that we just said, and you'll understand just how perfect he was in that second round. So yeah, let's dive in here to this. Like we mentioned earlier, like George mentioned, John Cena is the top star of the entire company. He was injured for the show. He didn't return until 2 months later at the 2008 Royal Rumble and Madison Square Garden. But, this is still a really good card nonetheless. Let's kind of get into it now. The opening video package shows some Survivor Series moments from the past, which they were doing a lot in these years here. Then it focused on the big matches on the show, and that was Team Triple H versus Team Umaga, Orton versus Michaels for the WWE title, and then Batista versus The Undertaker in a Hell in a Cell match for the World Heavyweight Championship. This is the end of a rivalry that was probably, would you say it was the best rivalry of 2007?
Probably. If I'm just going off the top of my head, because I'm not sure of all the rivalries, but yes. We'll say yes.
I mean, Cena Michaels had a really good one.
That was more of a like a rivalry of respect because they're both faces.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I guess same thing. I guess
same thing with Taker and Batista.
Yeah, but this got bloody.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, we'll talk. We'll definitely get to
Cena
that.
and Michaels weren't busting each other open inside a cage.
No. All right, so the opening match here is for the ECW Championship, the respected ECW title. CM Punk versus John Morrison and The Miz. Dude, sometimes when I go back and watch these like 07, 08 pay-per-views, I admittedly forget that The Miz was around in 07, 08. Yeah. It's like, dear God, the dude's been around forever. So we come in here. Punk is the face champion. He's a baby face. He's the champ of ECW. And at the time, Miz and Morrison were the WWE tag champions. And they were also, their heels. This match was very quick, to say the least. 7 minutes and 50 seconds. CM Punk gets the win. I actually shockingly thought it was a decent match. It was a fast pace. There was no lagging in this one. But under 10 minutes, but it was never boring. These are three guys that got a chance to be on a Big Four pay-per-view. They're the opening match of the Survivor Series for the ECW Championship. And I thought they made the most of their time. What did you think, George?
Just like you, I forgot the Miz was still in the company. And that John Morrison was doing the John Morrison gimmick, still not Johnny Nitro.
I can't stand that guy.
I hated the Miz. I hated his attire.
Me too.
I hated his song. I was like, oh God. I mean, what an evolution this man has had in terms of career, and what a stagnant waste of time John Morrison's career has become. Yeah, it's just the same thing everywhere he goes. It's the same. It's the same gimmick, whether he's Johnny Mundo or Johnny Impact or Johnny Dynamite, Johnny Collision, whatever the hell you want to call him.
Johnny Botchfest.
Johnny Botchfest. Johnny, I'm not as good as Joey Mercury, whatever you want to call me. It's the same thing with him. There's no way anybody went into this match thinking CM Punk was going to lose.
Yeah.
At all. And they were tag champs at the time too, Miz and Morrison.
Correct. Yep.
So not a single one of them was going to be a double champion.
No, not a chance. But look, nonetheless, these guys worked hard. It was a very entertaining match. I actually enjoyed it way more than I ever thought I would. We get to the SmackDown announce team here, which is Michael Cole and JBL. Talked about MVP turning on his tag partner, Matt Hardy, on the most previous edition of SmackDown. At the time, MVP is the U.S. champion. He's being interviewed backstage. He talked about how much better he is than Matt Hardy. He's better than anybody on the other team tonight, and he's better than anybody in the building. 2007, Montel Vontavious Porter, Johnny B. Blood. What was your thoughts on MVP in 07?
I liked MVP.
Me too. Yeah,
I liked him. He was cocky. Kind of remind me of Iverson a little bit.
Yeah, I enjoyed him a lot. I did like MVP. So I'm not going to really talk.
I like MVP now. I think he'd be a hell of a manager. Put him back on Bobby Lashley.
Yeah, I would love.
Mouthpiece.
Yeah, I would love for him to come back. I really would. The next match is what it is. It's a Divas Survivor Series match here. It ended in 4 minutes and 40 seconds. I couldn't even tell you who won. I kind of just skipped over it. So
it wasn't. I looked down for a minute and I looked up and Mickie James got the pin.
Okay, there you go, guys. We know that.
All right. She did that. She did that long kiss goodnight where she kissed Melina on the mouth and then did that spinning back kick thing to the back of her head.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. We get to a shot of Hornswoggle in the locker room with William Regal and Jonathan Coachman standing by. The Great Khali faces Hornswoggle. I don't even know why this is even going to be talked about, but it is. They get it going. I will say, anytime I got to see William Regal on screen, it's always great for me. So, there were comments earlier in the day with Randy Orton talking about how he's going to beat Shawn Michaels while he called himself a one-man dynasty. Shawn Michaels commented that Orton made his life living hell and that Michaels is going to take the WWE Championship from him. Just to remind everyone, there was a stipulation for this match, and that was if Shawn Michaels attempted the super kick and succeeded super kicking Randy Orton, he would be disqualified and he would never get a chance at the WWE title again as long as Orton was a champion. However, on the other side, if Randy Orton got himself disqualified, then Shawn Michaels would win the WWE title, and we'll get to that match later on. Next one up here is a World Tag Team Championships. Trevor Murdoch and Lance Cade versus Hardcore Holly and, yes, one Cody Rhodes. Cody was 22 years old at this time. Unbelievable how time just rolls on. Winners by pinfall were Trevor Murdoch and Lance Cade. Rest in peace. At 7 minutes and 20 seconds. What was your thoughts on this one? I thought it was a decent tag match, and the heels, I thought the baby faces might have taken this one. But no, they keep the titles on the heels. I thought the crowd was kind of dead, but I felt the only guy that really got any kind of reaction was Cody Rhodes. So what was your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, the crowd wasn't feeling it. I mean, it was a good match for what it was. Cade and Murdoch were a decent tag team. They just didn't have anything like charisma. There was no charisma there for that tag team. They were just good. So that's kind of why they had them. And hey, this match features two former NWA champions in Trevor Murdoch and Cody Rhodes.
Legends.
Who'd have thought Trevor Murdoch would be an NWA champion? Looking at this now, it's like that guy held 10 pounds of gold.
Oof. It wasn't too long after this. So, Cody did end up turning heel on Bob Holly, by having Ted DiBiase Jr. becoming his tag team partner, which led to the group legacy with Randy Orton. So
and the greatest title change of all times when Cody Rhodes beat himself to become tag team champions.
Oh God, you're right. So Triple H and his Survivor Series team were interviewed backstage. They were the baby faces, and this was Triple H, Kane, Rey Mysterio, and Jeff Hardy, who was the reigning Intercontinental Champion at the time. Kane said they don't have to get along. As he mentioned, Triple H called Kane a murderer and pretended to have sex with his dead girlfriend. It was great to have a Katie Vick reference here. Jeff mentioned that Hunter put him in a hospital before. Hunter said sorry, and that it's a night where guys can put aside the terrible things they've done, like necrophilia, to each other and do something terrible to somebody else. Very odd promo that was set up here. You have Katie Vick references here. Maybe that was just something to be a funny callback, but I mean, did you at all look at this as a very uncomfortable yet entertaining promo?
No, I laughed at it because of Triple H's responses to it, where he's like, ah, sorry, or he's like, my bad.
My bad. Yeah, it was really. That was just funny. It was uncomfortable with the Katie Vick, and then I was like, "Oh, that's just funny. It's good stuff."
Yeah. And then Triple H laughed off. It's like, like
Yeah.
as much as we like dog that Katie Vick storyline, that thing has legs.
Forever, yes, it will forever be a discussion. Here we are.
Katie
Survivor
Vick's
Series.
getting Kane in the Hall of Fame.
Another traditional Survivor Series elimination match: Umaga, Finley, Big Daddy V, and Mr. Kennedy, and MVP going up against, like we said, Triple H, Jeff Hardy, Kane, and Rey Mysterio. It's 5-on-4 because Hardy was hurt. Matt Hardy, pronouns pal, was hurt. And nobody replaced him. And I don't understand this at all, but whatever. I mean, we kind of pretty much knew what was going to happen here anyway. At the end, the survivors were Triple H and Jeff Hardy. With it being, regardless of it being 5-on-4, George, I'm actually like giving this 4 stars. I thought it was a very good elimination match. I thought it was all about putting over Jeff Hardy and Triple H, which is why they eliminated all 4 guys. I thought all the eliminations were well done in terms of storytelling. They gave the baby faces the ability and to come back to be the underdogs, and they're down 5-2. And not to say, nothing against the other team. There was some pretty good talent there. So it wasn't like, it wasn't, Mike Knox on the other end there. So it's, what was your thoughts on this Survivor Series match? I felt like WWE did their job and did a very good one putting over the baby faces.
I don't know why Triple H needed to be put over at this point of his career to have him come back from like a 5-2 deficit to win.
Yeah.
Now, Jeff Hardy, I understand because he's going to become champion like the next month.
Yes.
So it's not too far out of the next month, or am I thinking next year?
Next year, I believe.
Next year. But either way, Jeff is about to be on his rise to main event status. So I get that. So that point of I understand. But I'm pretty sure it was Triple H's call where it's like, hey, how about we go down like 5-2 and then I just come back and win?
Yeah.
And they're like, that's good shit, pal. I'll just do it.
So, yeah, it is next year because Jeff Hardy in the next month, which we will be covering this pay-per-view, I believe, at Armageddon, he beat Triple H to determine the number 1 contender for the WWE Championship match.
It's weird. As I look at these teams, only 2 of these guys are still active in ring.
Wow.
Ray and Jeff, who probably shouldn't be. And Team Umaga has 2 dead people on it.
Oh, that's sad. That's great.
Reality, Chris.
Yeah, I know. Shane McMahon enters the arena. He introduces his father, Vince. Shane also introduced us to his little brother standing at 4'4", with Hornswoggle McMahon making his entrance. So Hornswoggle versus the Great Khali. I don't know. Winner by disqualification. I mean, this was just, why is this on a pay-per-view? Oh, I forgot the McMahons are involved. So they can do those kinds of things. This was bad. Like, I mean, bad. Even with Shane and Vince there, like, George, come on. What the hell was this? Who booked this shit?
Listen, I didn't book this crap. I wouldn't have done this. He could have catch me doing some crap like this. I'll tell you that much. However, hey, good face turn for Finley that nobody saw coming.
Yeah, I know.
This man was the heel 5 minutes ago.
I know. Yeah, this was just not good. I was just not a fan of this at all. Moving on, here we go. This is where One of the reasons why I chose this pay-per-view, I thought this was absolutely spectacular. A video package airs to set up Randy Orton defending the WWE Championship against Shawn Michaels. There was that moment at Cyber Sunday 1 month earlier where Orton got himself purposely disqualified. He punched Shawn Michaels right in the ding-dong, leading to a disqualification. Earlier in that year, Orton did that infamous punt to quote unquote knock out Shawn Michaels for several months. Then they showed highlights aired of Michaels with a super kick on 5 different occasions against Orton. And again, the stipulation was that Michaels uses that super kick, he will be disqualified. Michaels comes out first to a massive ovation as you hear JR just whining about, how the stipulation isn't fair. But it made sense because you have a heel as the GM being William Regal. So makes sense. Orton makes his entrance, and I forgot what year? Do you recall what year he went over to the new theme song? Because here he had, the Nothing You Can Say one, which I love, by the way. But when did he officially move over to the new one? Do you remember?
It's a good question.
Why do I have you here?
It's a good question. Oh, excuse me. I didn't do your legwork.
I'm sorry. You're right. I thought you were the connoisseur of anything Rev Theory, so I just asked you.
Wow. I don't even know how to respond to that.
Let me kind of just give people how crazy it is, how time works. Orton's 27 here, and Michaels is 42. So it's just so crazy. But look, this match went just about 18 minutes. It ended where there was a point in the match where Michaels reversed or got out of an RKO situation, attempted a super kick, but he didn't hit it. He had to pause mid kick because he realized the stipulation. That allowed the opening for an RKO that got the 1, 2, 3. I gave this 4.5 stars. I thought it was awesome. The story was all about Michaels trying to get a win any way possible that didn't involve his finishing maneuver. They both went for pinfall attempts throughout the entirety of the match. It's to me, it was all about, and they did so well at this. And it's the two guys in the ring. It was they put over the importance of winning the match. Michaels, of course, his performance in this match I thought was impeccable. Orton certainly did his part, but you could just tell that it was Michaels that really put this match together, made the match special. You're going to hear us say this all the time when we cover anything with Michaels. He's the greatest in-ring performer of all time. And it's not, he's in his own tier, in my opinion, personally. This is one of those matches that was just a great example of it. He had submission maneuvers. He did everything he could that wasn't the super kick to try to, get Orton down and to become WWE champion. But it didn't happen, obviously, because Orton was booked as such a strong heel champion here. And thanks to this feud, I felt with Shawn, George, Michaels puts him over clean in a show like Survivor Series. Just an incredible, incredible match. What were your thoughts on the match?
Oh, yeah. This match told the story.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I miss from wrestling now is
Me too.
A match telling a story. And that's not a shot at one company. That's a shot at all the companies. Take notes. Literally, all of you take notes.
Yeah.
It's bad. Stop with the hot shot nonsense. Just give me a story. Give me a storyline that I can follow throughout the match. Like, I don't remember the build up to this as much, but clearly watching the match and having like JR on commentary going through everything, it's like, all right, so this is what I'm understanding with the match.
Yeah.
To answer your question from before, Chris, Randy Orton permanently changed his theme song on May 5th, 2008.
So it was very shortly after this.
Yeah, about 6 months later. So yeah, there, I did your legwork.
Thank you very much. You're allowed on next week.
Oh, thank God. I was worried I might have to go jump on somebody else's wrestling podcast.
Yes.
Um,
JD from New York is waiting for you.
no, he'll be waiting a while.
Yeah.
But I
That's
mean,
funny.
I know. I mean, I can think of one Survivor Series in particular where Shawn Michaels won without the Sweet Chin Music, so I've assumed he would be able to do it again.
I remember that year. He put on the best sharpshooter I've ever seen in my life.
Hey, 10 years prior to this one.
That's correct. After the match was
If only he had watched some tape.
That's funny. I'm going to ask you because we are talking about HBK here. What was your thoughts on that second run by HBK? And we're in 2007 now, and it seems like everything he's involved in, it either further cemented his legacy, or it also he was always putting the next guy over, or someone that they might want to be a next guy over. What was your thoughts? On because the month after this, he's having a banger of a match at Armageddon, I believe, against Ken Kennedy, which was a tremendous match, which I watch quite often. What was your thoughts on HBK's second run, and in particular, like 2007?
His second run is untouchable.
Yeah.
It's insane. Is that he went through that he went through all of his second run as a face, save for the Hogan nonsense, because Hogan wasn't turning heel, brother. But he primarily went through as a face, but it never felt stale.
Right.
I mean, he's HBK. It's the same gimmick every time. He's going to come out. He's going to do he'll give you the forearm, the
Yep.
kip up. He'll get in the corner. He'll stomp on the ground 3 times and Sweet Chin Music. We know it all.
Yeah.
But we get hyped for it every time. So and now Cena, who is the same. I'm going to compare to Cena real quick.
Okay.
Whereas Cena, babyface isn't like almost his entire run after he became champ, but the crowd isn't behind him. Like even like the 5 knuckle shuffle and and the FU or attitude adjustment, whatever you're calling it, the people weren't behind it, and I think it really boils down to just the charisma. Not saying Cena doesn't have charisma, but nobody has HBK charisma.
I agree.
HBK get on the mic and he's playing off of what someone's telling. He's playing off of whoever he's doing a promo battle with. Cena, it was the same thing every time. I'm going to win. I'm going to overcome the odds. John, there's no odds. You're the champ. Like, you're not the underdog. Like, stop it with that already. Oh,
Yeah.
That was the one thing I remember I wanted to bring up too. This was the run where Rey Mysterio kept complaining about or kept talking about how he was the underdog. It's like,
Yeah.
you're Rey Mysterio. You're not an underdog.
That's
Stop that shit. At this point, you're a former world champion. You're far from
Exactly.
the goddamn underdog.
I know. I agree.
But going back to Sean's career, I basically consider it like Aerosmith, where like like Joe Perry leaving the band, like in the 70s, early 80s, like they were great. And then when you look at the late 80s, when Joe Perry and Brad Whitford came back after the Run DMC Walk This Way, that second run and into what they're into now it has been equally as amazing, if not even a little better.
Mhm.
That's how I look at Shawn Michaels. His first run, fantastic. His
Yeah.
second run, fantastic.
Mhm.
It's insane how this man has had essentially two Hall of Fame careers. We mention this all the time. Every time we talk about Shawn Michaels, we always mention how he has 2 Hall of Fame careers.
Mhm.
And there isn't a single wrestler alive today that can pull this off. Anybody.
You're right. I mean, I'm trying to think of who could possibly we could say has had 2 Hall of Fame career. I mean, can you say Kurt Angle? Can you say AJ Styles? Maybe AJ, right?
But AJ didn't have a 4-year break in between. I mean, AJ.
No, you're right.
Wrestling in TNA to wrestling in WWE.
Oh, so you're saying, someone who had an injury for a while and then came back.
Like Shawn was out of the game for 4 years. and
Yeah.
then came back and basically picked up where he left off. Now, you could make that case if circumstances were different for someone like CM Punk, who did it now, despite what we think, before he left, yes, Hall of Fame career. He could have had it when he came back, given if the circumstances were different, and if he didn't go to a company of children.
So how about I have a career maybe for you? I know, but now that we have a different perspective on TNA, what about Sting?
Sting never stopped.
Yes, he did from 2001. He didn't arrive, I think, until 2006.
No, wasn't he in TNA in like 2003?
I don't think so.
I'm gonna check you. Sting
All right.
TNA debut. All right. Well, that told me nothing. Not even a little bit. Oh, good. What was Sting making in TNA? Thanks, everybody.
So his first appearance was
2006.
in 2003.
Okay.
That was his debut. That was his first appearance where he teamed with Jeff Jarrett. So that was he took a 2-year break. So that
So
does
yeah,
that
I mean,
count?
I guess you could probably say Sting. I mean, we could probably say Sting there.
Okay.
But wasn't he doing like little one-offs?
Yeah, he
Kinda
was
also?
doing. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
like before he went to TNA full time.
Yes, you're right. Okay, so yeah, I mean, God, yeah, it takes 4 years off and comes. You're right. I mean, Punk could have been that guy. You could have even said Edge,
Yeah.
but his second run wasn't that ideal.
Hey, his second run's not done yet.
That's a good point. Very good point, actually.
He's on
okay.
Edge now. He's just side.
All right. After the match was over, Michael stayed on the mat without moving for just a few moments. Orton left the ring, but then decided to make his way back. He dragged Michaels over to the turnbuckle, started yelling at Michaels that he beat him, and for Michaels to admit that he's the best. Orton turns around and then gets absolutely destroyed by a super kick at the hands of Shawn Michaels. Orton's just laying in the middle of the ring, just a huge pop from Michaels. Just a great moment. You didn't get the Sweet Chin music during the match, but you gave the babyface, gave the crowd what they wanted in the end, no matter what. So pretty good storytelling there for both the heel and the babyface. So after this, and again, another thing I forgot at this point is we were getting these break the code videos telling us the second coming will be it's going to be happening on Raw. Did you know in 07 when they were running these that it was going to be Jericho? Because I didn't. I remember watching these in 07 thinking, I have no idea who this is.
This was the worst kept secret in wrestling history.
I guess I just didn't read it. I guess I didn't pay attention. I don't know.
Well, you obviously weren't scrolling the forums on Raja, so you didn't know.
No, I definitely was not scrolling forums in 2007.
But I mean, we're still, I'm gonna say we're not in the infancy of the internet, but it's starting to become more prevalent, and just every site was talking about, oh, it's Jericho. Like everyone.
Oh, okay.
And then even if I didn't know. If I didn't know what was going on, if you watched the one that played during this Survivor Series, one of the things says break the walls.
Oh, I got to go back and see that. Oh, that's about it.
I was like,
ended that.
That told me everything I needed to know.
Literally, I'm going to have to go back and see if I can find it. I guess I wasn't honed in on it, but damn, I'm going to have to go find that now. Here we go. We're at the main event where the big boys play here inside Hell in a Cell. Batista versus The Undertaker for the World Heavyweight Championship. Again, both top baby faces. Neither of these guys were ever heels during this entire thing. But man, 2007 Batista, 2007 Undertaker, boy, these dudes were just on top of their game at this time. Just absolutely awesome. We get to the end here because there was just some pretty intense chair shots to the skulls during this match and some blading happening.
That's what we'll call it.
Yeah, this was probably one of the main instances that led to the PG era because, like George said in the beginning, a lot of blood, some crimson masks during this contest. Because 6 months after this, there was no more blood. That was it. We were done. But
no, not even not even 6 months. It was right after that ladder match between HBK and Jericho.
No, it was before that. It was was it the Great American Bash or something like that? It was the match between Jericho and Michaels where Michaels' eye got busted open and he bled so much that or he bladed. It didn't get busted open. That was kayfabe, brother. He bladed during the match. I think it was the Great American Bash. And that was it. And Michaels and Jericho talked about this on Jericho's podcast a few years back where they said literally the next day, Vince put out the edict that that's it. We're done. Like there's no more blood. That was it. Congratulations. And then, of course, we didn't see any blood at the ladder match at No Mercy, which we will be covering coming up in the spring. So at the end of this, man, winner by pinfall is Batista. But you get to the end of this here. Undertaker hits a tombstone, made the cover. Batista kicked out at 2. Undertaker set up for the tombstone on the steps, and he connected with it, but the ref was pulled out of the ring. Edge was dressed like the camera guy at this point. The crowd was just going batshit crazy at this point. Edge had the camera in his hands. He hit the Undertaker in the head with it. The Undertaker's head was, right up against the steel steps, which was pretty scary. Edge picked up a chair, gave Undertaker a concerto on the steps. Edge put Batista's hand on Undertaker's chest, and they got the 1, 2, 3. This match went just over 21 minutes. I'll tell you this, man. I actually docked this match a star because of the interference from Edge, because I don't think it needed it. But overall, I gave this 4 stars. Before Edge showed up, I had this going as a 5-star Hell in a Cell. Just the brutality, the storytelling, the performance from both. What was your thoughts on this main event? And did you think that it needed the interference?
I mean, it helped the storyline because it gave Edge kind of something to do, and it kind of gives Taker somewhere to go from here, because this was the end of the storyline.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it did need the interference. I mean, if I'm gonna give it a rating, I'll probably give maybe 4.5.
Okay. I just felt like I just felt like Edge tainted things a bit because it's the end of this rivalry and we got a cheap ending. We got a cheap pinfall. You know what I mean? That's what kind of bothers me. I really would have liked to have seen Batista just win clean and get it over with, because if you're not going anywhere from there, then Taker, I'm sure, has no issues doing the job. I mean, Taker's never had an issue doing. I mean, he's lost a Great Khali. I mean, he's done jobs, obviously. So I don't know. Maybe that's just me thinking about it too much.
At the same point, this was a match with 2 faces.
It's a good point. I didn't think about
adding a heel to it. Kind of maybe just gives a little bit of added drama. Who knows?
Yeah, you're right.
Also, Taker was 42 and Batista was 39. It was 38. He was like 2 months away from being 39 in this.
People
match.
forget how old Batista was during his run. Like, people forget, man. It's like Diamond Dallas Page. It's like that whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, he was up there when he got these runs.
Dave Batista in that match was the same age that I am now.
You look way better than Dave.
I got muscles in places that most guys don't even have places. So
I agree.
It's fine.
I agree.
Yeah.
You just ooze sex appeal. Dave Batista? Nah.
It's because he got that tattoo over his belly button.
He's got the tattoo of his
Weirdo.
belly button. Post-match, Edge is seen leaving the ring as the cell's going up. The crowd, you could tell, was just kind of just stunned by what they just saw. JBL said that the Edge robbed the world of a masterpiece. I agree. I think that was a shoot. So I'm really happy that was said.
Brother.
Undertaker, went to sit up, but then Edge grabbed the chair and nailed him with a chair shot to the head. So happy that we were done with chair shots to the head, man. Like they were it was a vicious attack, which was, like you said, you got to get that heel heat. It set off the rivalry between Edge and Taker that dominated much of 2008, which, included that main event at WrestleMania 24, which was literally probably in my top 3 of my favorite Undertaker matches ever. So I'm happy with where this went. I just didn't like it. I'm just weird. I like there to be finality. And when you get to a Hell in a Cell match, I feel like that's where finality happens.
Mhm.
You think of Shawn Michaels and Triple H in 04. Where did that finality come? The June Bad Blood pay-per-view in a Hell in a Cell. I'm pretty sure the finality of Mick Foley and Triple H ended at Hell in a Cell.
That was where Mick Foley's career ended too.
Yeah, one of the
his full-time career. That was where
Right.
Cactus Jack's career ended.
That's correct.
Dude Love hasn't had his farewell match yet.
Yeah, usually those really big matches are finality. The Chris Jericho, Shawn Michaels feud ended at a ladder match. So it's I was just really wanted finality, but I understand now looking back where it led to. It's just it didn't end how I wanted it. But again,
I mean,
different strokes for different folks. I understand.
the Michaels Taker rivalry from '97 ended in the Hell in a Cell.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm
exactly.
not gonna count the Rumble in '98 because that was a title shot.
But of course, remembering in '97, that was also Kane, so it wasn't even a clean finish.
No.
So yeah, you're right. Usually when you get to Hell in a Cell, I feel like that's finality. But still, again, not to repeat myself, but it did give us a 2008 incredible rivalry with Edge and Undertaker.
Because like if you start a feud with somebody and your first pay-per-view feud is inside like a Hell in a Cell or something like that, where do you go from there?
Right.
There's nowhere to go from there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that's why
I
like
agree.
you see a lot of people now like, oh, why are they just having a singles match? It's like because it's the start of a feud. You don't go to the top of the. It's not like you're playing, WWE 2K23 and you can just make whatever match types you want and it works. Like, you need to build up these things to keep the audience invested, to keep us interested. Okay, well, you won the single match. All right, so next pay-per-view, fine, street fight. Oh, well, I won the street fight. Now we got to have the blow-off match.
Mm-hmm.
There you have your Hell in a Cell ladder match, whatever you want to do.
Yeah. And I do believe we will be covering WrestleMania 24 this year. So I'm looking forward to covering that one. So put that one in our back pockets for March and April.
Where it all begins again.
Yes. They end the show with Edge walking up the ramp, staring back at Taker. If you guys notice, like they barely show Batista, and he's the world champion who just retained. The focus was Edge and Undertaker, so they were planting those seeds immensely at the end of this big show here. So 2 hours and 45 minutes on Peacock. My couple final thoughts I have on the show before we rate it. Michaels Orton match, I think, was the best match of the card. Obviously, Undertaker Batista would be second. Other than that, man, that was it. Like that was it. This was a 2-match pay-per-view, but those 2 matches are incredible and are the reasons I keep going back and watching this show. I thought the ECW match, it was good, but still, it was nothing that I'll ever remember or probably will never watch again. I think the Survivor Series matches were pretty decent. The whole Triple H and Jeff Hardy thing, coming back from being down 5-2 was really good. But I'm like you, why are we doing something to make Triple H look strong? Like that's not what was necessary in 2007. He's already an absolute bona fide legend and one of the greatest of all time in 2007. But the Vince McMahon thing with Hornswoggle and Great Khali was embarrassing. That's just not something that should ever be on anything that costs money to pay to see. But other than that, man, I'm going to give this show. I think I landed right around a 7.5 out of 10 here. It was
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking about a 7.
Yeah. It was 2 incredible matches that carried the entire show. I thought it was good. So
I thought the Survivor Series match was a fun match.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
I mean, Big Daddy V didn't cripple anybody, so I guess it was a good match all around.
Yes.
I forgot how much of a monster Umaga was.
Bro, yeah.
I mean, that's just how hey, it's that family.
Yeah, I know. It's just in the blood. All right, that wraps up Survivor Series 2007. Next week, we'll be live here talking about Survivor Series 2009 to wrap up our Survivor Series coverage. Except, and I have a quick announcement at the end what we're going to be doing this year. I think it's really cool, and it's something I'm looking forward to doing. Survivor Series 2009 took place November 22nd in Washington, D.C. Verizon Center. So we're almost going to be recording it like almost literally to the day of the anniversary of this show. Some of the highlights of this show, Batista against Rey Mysterio in a singles match, The Undertaker versus Big Show and Chris Jericho, a triple threat match for the World Heavyweight Championship. I know. And a huge triple threat match to main event the show for the WWE title. John Cena as the champion against Triple H and Shawn Michaels, who were D-Generation X at this time. So some cool things happening here. Looking forward to covering that show as well. So here was what I wanted to announce to everybody, what we're going to be doing coming up for this year's Survivor Series War Games Premium Live event. Saturday, November 25th, we will be doing a pregame show. Pre-game show, same thing. War Games.
We're gonna pregame it also. We're gonna tailgate in the parking lot.
That's right. We are
in front of Chris's house.
We are. So we're gonna do a pre-show for the Survivor Series, leading you into it, and then we're gonna do a post-game show. I keep doing post-game show. Post Survivor Series show. And we're going to give our instant reactions and see what happened. It's the first time we're doing a pre-show and a post-show. So I'm excited to bring that to you guys live here on our YouTube page. Find me on Facebook. Find me on Instagram and Twitter. Find our YouTube page at Hot Tag Wrestling. At Hot Tag Wrestling. Go there now on YouTube and subscribe. Like this video if you're watching on YouTube as well. So yeah, November 25th, which is Survivor Series War Games, pre-show, post-show. Got it. Took me long enough to get it correct. Right here on the Hot Tag Wrestling Show. Can't wait for that. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. George is going to join us. Yeah. I think our other buddy, Dean, will finally make an appearance where he'll just probably spout Orton, Punk sucks, and then he'll leave. And then just, who knows what for the rest of the evening. But that wraps us up here. I'm Chris C. Francesco. That's George Rogers. And this has been Survivor Series 2007. Thank you so much for joining us. And we'll catch you guys here next week for Survivor Series 2009. Have a good one.